Hey there, fourth graders. It's Mrs. Robinson, and we're going to be playing around with a little bit more division. You had heard Mr. Bradsby talk about two different strategies of solving a division problem. We can use the place value. Remember, that's going to be the box, right? Or we could do the expanded, and the expanded is where we stack the hundreds in column first and then the tens and the ones right on top of it. So we go up in place value and we kind of do the box method like this. So those are the two strategies. Now the good news is we're going to be sticking with only these two strategies. So we're not going to try to learn another strategy. What we are going to be doing is playing around with rest of this unit with different types of division problems, some of them easier than others. So let's go ahead and get started, and we're going to practice. Let me erase this first. We're going to practice solving 252 divided by 9. Now let's start at the very beginning and think together about what this problem really means. What this problem really means is we have 252, and we want to put them in even groups of 9. Okay, and we want to try to see how many groups do we have. Well, I could start making my 9 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I could do this, my groups of 9, all the way up to 252. But yikes, that's going to take forever, isn't it? There's got to be a faster way we can do this. Well, the place value strategy, believe it or not, is one of them. Here's the thing that we want to try to figure out. Another way of looking at 252 divided by 9 is 9 times something is going to give us 252. Well, obviously, this is not one of our basic facts, right? Even if we go all the way up to 9 times 9, 9 times 9 is 81. That's not getting us anywhere close to 252. So we're going to have to try to figure out what number goes here that we can multiply by 9, and it's going to give us the total of 252. So the first strategy we're going to be using here then is the place value strategy. So let me draw a nice big box here, and let's see if we can't solve this. So I'm going to put my 9 outside the box, and now I know that there is our hundreds, our tens, and our ones column. And I'm going to go ahead and put down hundreds, tens, and ones because it's a 3-digit number. And I'm going to put 252 over here. Well, if I'm going to be starting in the hundreds column, then that means that I need to multiply a number in the hundreds times 9 to get close to 252. Well, here's a strategy Mr. Bradsby taught us. He said, look at the first number. Can I multiply 9 times anything to get 2? Well, no, because 9 is much bigger than 2. Now let's move to the next digit. How about 25? 9 times what is going to get me close to 25? And the reason why we want to look at 25 is because we want to go with the first. We want to kind of take this digit by digit, all right? And we want to look and see 9 times what is going to get me close to 25. Well, let's hear. Now this is a basic fact. This is something that we can manage. 9 times 3 is 27. Oh, shucks. 9 times 3 is 27. That's not going to work because that's too big, right? What we want to do is try to get to 25. So the closest we can do without going over 25 is 9 times 2. Well, this isn't just a 25, though. It's a 252. But if we look at it, we can't multiply 9 times any number in the hundreds spot to get close to 252, because the smallest number, if we're going to multiply it by a number in the hundreds spot, the smallest one we could do, let me go back. Sorry, friends. The smallest one we could do is 9 times 100. Well, if we're going to multiply it by a number in the hundreds column, that would give us 900, and that's way too big. So believe it or not, there are no hundreds in our answer, right? Our answer obviously is just going to have a number in the tens and the number in the ones. So I'm actually going to pull this number over to the tens column because I cannot take any groups of 900s out of this. And 900 is the smallest group that we could make if I were to multiply it by the number in the hundreds. So we just had a conversation that 9 times 2 is going to get us close to 25. But since it's not just 25, it's close to 250, we're going to say it's going to be 9 times 20, right? Because it's not just a 2, it's a 20. Because it's not just a 25, it's a 252. So 9 times 20 is going to give us 180, right? 9 times 2 is 18, so 9 times 20 is 180. Well, let's subtract it and let's see what we have left. I'm going to go ahead and borrow here, and that's going to be 15. So this is going to be a 2, and then 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's a 7, and this is a 0. So now we've got 72 left. I'm going to pull my 72 over here. And now I'm looking at my basic facts one more time. 9 times what is going to get me close to 72? Well, if we know our basic facts, we know that that is an 8. So now we're going to take 8 and multiply 9 times 8 is 72. And we're going to come up with 0 remainders. It goes in evenly. So really what we're looking at is we're looking at a 20 plus an 8 or 28. So to solve this problem, 9 times 28 is going to give us 252. Okay? So that's the way we're going to solve that problem. Okay? Now let's go ahead and move on and look at another problem. All right, now we're going to try the same problem, but let's do it in a different strategy. So we're going to do 252 divided by 9, and now we're going to do our expanded, okay? So if we're going to have a number fall in the hundreds column, then that would mean that we're going to multiply 9 times some number in the hundreds column to give us 252. Well, we can't do that because like we talked about, the smallest number in the hundreds column would be 100, right? That's the smallest 100 that we can multiply it by. Well, 9 times 100 is 900. There's no way that 9 times 100 equals 252. So we're actually not going to be multiplying 9 times any number in the hundreds column. That is going to be a 0. And sometimes what I do, just so I don't get confused, is I'm going to put a 0 there to show that there are no 100s. And I'm going to put 3 zeros because hundreds is a 3-digit number, right? So there's no 100s. I can multiply 9 times to get to close to 252. But now let's look digit by digit. And now let's go to the next column over, 25. Well, 9 times what is going to get us close to 25? Well, we talked about 2. That's as close as we can get. 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 3 is 27, and that's too big. So we're going to go with that. But it's not just a 25. It's a number closer to 250, isn't it? So we need to multiply it by a 20, not just a 2, right? So 20 times 9 is 180. 2 times 9 is 18. 2 times 20 is 180. We already learned this. And now we're going to go ahead and do our subtraction. And we're going to get, of course, 72. And now we're going to look at what number in the ones column, because now we're down to the ones column. What number in the ones column can we multiply 9 by to get us to 72? Well, that's a basic fact. It is 8, right? 9 times 8 is 72. We're going to subtract that, and now we're down to 0 remainders. So our answer is there's no 100s, but there is a 20 and there's an 8. So our answer is 28. All right, now let's go ahead and move on and look at an even bigger number. Let's try dividing. How about, this one's huge. You guys ready, friends? We're going to look at the number 9,000. Nobody freak out. We're good. 9,954 divided by 3. What is that really saying? That's saying that we want to take out even groups of 3 until we reach 9,954. Well, here we go, friends. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way up to 9,954. Are we going to do it this way? No, way too hard. Let's go ahead and try our place value strategy. Now, if we look though, this is a 4-digit number. So you know what that means? I'm going to draw one gigantic box because it's got to have 4 place values in it. This thing is huge. We're going to have our thousands, we're going to have our hundreds, we're going to have our tens, and we're going to have our ones. Okay, and now we've got 3 into, we're going to start with 9,954. Well, now let's look at, since we're in the thousands column, that means how many 1,000s can I multiply 3 by to get as close as possible to, let's look at our first digit, 9. Can we do it? Of course. So 3 times what is going to get us close to 9, and that number is in the thousands place. So we're going to call that 9,000. 3 times what number is going to get us close to 9,000? Well, actually, 3 times 3 is 9. So 3 times 3,000, right, is 9,000. So actually, this is sweet. I can multiply 3 times 3,000. And 3 times 3,000 is 9,000. Look at that. How many do I have left? 954. So now let's go ahead and move it over to the hundreds column. And now what I want to know is how many hundreds, and remember it's going to end in 2 zeros because hundreds always ends in 2 zeros. How many hundreds can I multiply 3 by to get as close as possible to, let's take a look at the number in the hundreds place. Let's do this step by step. 900. How many hundreds can I multiply by 3 to get as close as possible to 900? Well, we know this, don't we? 3 times 3 is 9. So 3 times 300 is 900. So actually, I'm going to multiply this number 3 now by 300. Whoops, 3 times 300 is 900. I'm going to subtract that now, and I'm going to have 54 left over. So now I'm going to carry the 54 over here. This is a big number, isn't it? It's always the same process, right? We're just going to take a look at, since this one is a number in the thousands column, we're of course going to be multiplying it by a number in the thousands column first, right? And then we're going to move into hundreds, and now we're looking at the tens column. So now what we want to know is 3 times what is going to get us close to, what number is this? Well, it's not a 5, friends. That's in the tens column. It's a 50. So 3 times what is going to get us close to 50? Well, 3 times, let's see, or how many tens? 3 times 10 is 30. How about 3 times 20? 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 20 is 60. Oh, shucks. that is going to be too big. So we're going to have to just multiply it by 10. That's as close as we can get to 50. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to multiply 3 times 10. That's going to get me 30, right? What do I have left? I have 24 left over. Now we're looking at just a number in the ones column. This is a basic fact. 3 times what is going to get me close to 24? Well, guess what, friends? It's going to come out evenly. There's no remainders because we're not going to get close to 24. We're going to land right on 24 because 3 times 8. Remember our basic facts. 3 times 8 is 24. And we have no remainders. So 3 times 3,000, if I can write it up here, 3 times 3,318. Remember, this is the number written down in expanded form. 3,000 plus 300 plus 10 plus 8 is the number 3,318. So 3 times 3,318 is going to give us 9,954. And that is our answer to that problem. All right, I know that this has been an extremely long lesson, but I'd like to try this one problem now using the place value strategy. We'll do this quickly. Please hang with me, friends. We've got the number 3 divided, or the number 9,954 divided by 3. Okay, now we are looking at the thousands column. So how many 1,000s can I multiply by 3 to get as close to 9 as possible? Well, actually that's 3, isn't it? Because 3 times 3 is 9. But it's not just a 9 that we want, it's a 9,000, right? Because that 9 is in the thousands place. So 3,000 times 3 is 9,000. Do you guys see why we spent so long multiplying with zeros? This skill is coming in handy, isn't it? So now we're going to subtract, and we've got 954 left over. So now we're looking at our number in the thousands is already taken care of. So now we're looking at a number in the hundreds. And the number we're looking at in the hundreds is 9. So 3 times what equals 9? Well, 3 times 3 equals 9. But it's not just a 9, it's a 900. So let's add our 2 more zeros. 3 times 300 is 900. And now what we're left with is 54. So now 3 times how many 10s is going to get me close to 54? Well, only 1 10, right? Because 2 10s is 60, and that number is 54. So 10 times 3 is 30. If we subtract that, I'm going to have to bring my answer over here. I ran out of room. 54 minus 30 is going to give us 24. So now I'm looking at the R1s column. That's our only place value we have left now. 3 times what is going to get us close to 24? Well, it's 3 times 8 is 24. So now we can subtract those. We've got no remainders. So our answer to this problem, friends, is 3,000 plus 300 plus 10 plus 8, or 3,000. If I can get this to right, it is 3,318. All right, so here's what we looked at. We looked at using 2 strategies, our place value or our expanded strategy, and we looked at multiplying or dividing numbers, and one of them, our answer was in the tens column, or our quotient was a 2-digit number, and in this one, our quotient is a 4-digit number. But it doesn't really matter how big our answer is. It's always the same process. Look at the place value. 3 into 9, 3 into 900, 3 into 50, and 3 into 4. Break it up by place values and just do our inverse. What number can we multiply by to equal that number in the thousands? What number can we multiply by to equal that number in the hundreds? So it's always the same strategy, just bigger numbers or smaller numbers. All right. Probably pretty confusing yet. That's one thing about long division. It's certainly not real easy to do, and it takes some practice. Don't freak out if this is hard. Remember to reach out to your teachers for help if you need some help. All right, good luck practicing today. We're here if you need us.